once again. My name is Katerina Chamouri, journalist, diplomatic correspondent, and news anchor. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome you for the second day here at the Zapion of the second day of the 6th Partnership for Transatlantic Energy Cooperation Ministerial. Today marks the official ministerial day for this transatlantic gathering, a day devoted to high-level governmental dialogue, strategic cooperation, and policy alignment among participating nations. We are honored to welcome energy ministers, senior government officials, and high-ranking delegation leaders from across Europe to North America, as well as the presence of the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic, Minister Mitsotakis, whose leadership reflects Greece's growing strategic role in regional and European energy developments. This community represents a wide coalition of countries committed to a common goal, that is, strengthening energy security, promoting regional integration, and reinforcing competitiveness through aligned and forward-looking policy. Yesterday's Business Forum provided a platform for meaningful engagement between public and private sector leaders, featuring constructive discussions on energy security and reliability, as well as the connection between energy affordability and economic competitiveness. Building on those discussions, the first day of the summit placed particular emphasis on energy cooperation, geopolitical stability, and investment strategy. A central focus placed on the collaboration between Greece and the United States in the energy sector, aiming to enhance Europe's energy security and to reduce dependence on Russian natural gas. Greece was highlighted, ladies and gentlemen, as a strategic hub for the import and distribution of US LNG, while the importance of engaging international investors and companies to strengthen countries' economy and energy infrastructure was underscored. The dialogue also focused on the search of suitable investment partners in a rapidly changing global landscape, with a focus on attracting foreign, mainly American, capital. The existing strategic relationship between Greece and the US was described as critical as both for economic and geopolitical stability in the region. A notable example was the trilateral cooperation between ExxonMobil, Hellenic Energy, Energean on hydrocarbons on Block 2 in the Ionian Sea. At the same time, there was recognition for the need to balance environmental objectives with a realistic approach to hydrocarbon usage, acknowledging that hydrocarbons will remain part of the energy mix for the coming years. Innovation and technology were also main topics. Speakers explored the integration of digital tools and AI into the energy sector. They also discussed how energy systems and data centers can operate in a complementary way, especially to a regional level. Furthermore, the role of the US investments in financing energy projects was strongly highlighted. Speakers also emphasized the potential for public-private partnerships to generate mutual benefits for both Europe and the United States. In addition, strengthening Europe's energy security through US LNG supplies was a recurring theme. Participants underscored the importance of strategic investments and the continued promotion of sustainable innovation. The conference overall emphasized cooperation, stability, and the need to adapt. The need to adapt to the evolving challenges of the international energy landscape. It is also showcased Greece's position as a pivotal player in advancing transatlantic energy cooperation. As we turn now to today's ministerial discussions, our focus sharpens around two key terms. First, the role of liquefied natural gas, not simply as commodity, but as strategic tool in support of European competitiveness and economic growth. Second, the importance of building energy systems that are secure, smart, and interconnecting. And of course, the sessions will offer a forum for ministers to share national experiences. Before we begin, allow me just to express my deep appreciation to all delegations for their presence. Your commitment to this process reinforces the shared responsibility we hold in building a more reliable energy future. I talk too much. I'm not here to talk. So, without further ado, I'm going to invite the Prime Minister of Greece, whose leadership at the national and regional level continues to guide the country's energy track and international partnerships. As the head of Greek government, the Prime Minister's leadership continues to guide Greece's path, strengthening its role as a regional connector, a gateway for diversification, and a trusted partner in European energy cooperation. His address comes at a moment, ladies and gentlemen, of renewed alignment across the transatlantic energy landscape and will help frame the priorities and the principles that underpin today's ministerial deliberations. Please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic, Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis.
Madam Ambassador, secretaries, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Athens. And it is indeed a great pleasure to address this amazing gathering. And frankly, I cannot think of a better time and I cannot think of a better place to hold this summit. P-TEC is an opportunity, a great opportunity to further strengthen the Transatlantic alliance in the field of energy. The United States, Mr. Secretary, is a major energy exporter. Europe is a major energy importer. So the scope of this cooperation is extensive. And the deals that have been signed and will be signed over these 2 days indicate that there is significant substance behind this partnership that we're currently building. But I should point out that this is not just a partnership based on commercial transactions. I think it is also an enduring bond based on a similar set of strategic objectives. We both, Greece and the United States, have a primary responsibility as governments to deliver affordable energy to our citizens and our businesses. We both want to secure energy sources and critical raw materials that are free from geopolitical baggage. We want vibrant industries, we want fair competition, we want to unleash innovation, we want to develop new technologies, and of course, we do want to reduce emissions, each in our own ways. And over the past 6 years, my country has chartered its own course when it comes to energy. At the beginning of my first term, in 2019, we made a strategic decision, sorry about that, Doug, to shift away from lignite, which used to provide 60% of our electricity. This was not just driven by environmental concerns, it was driven by economics. In our case, lignite was simply too expensive for us. Instead, we did invest in renewables, taking advantage of our superior solar and wind resources. And as anyone who has been on a Greek island in the Aegean knows, the Greek wind is a powerful force that we are harnessing for good purposes. And as a result of these investments, renewables now meet more than 50% of our electricity needs. And for the first time, and I really want to highlight this point, in 2024, Greece became a net electricity exporter. Think of how important this is. Just in 2023, we spent 575 million euros importing electricity. Last year, we earned 122 million euros by exporting it. In other words, in just 1 year, we witnessed a shift of 700 million euros, generating electricity from our own resources to lower costs and improve our trade balance. Meanwhile, we also invested heavily in natural gas to ensure that we have and will have for the foreseeable future predictable baseload power. We have already commissioned 2 ultra-modern gas plants. 1 more is under construction. Several more are being planned. And these days, these gas plants provide the flexibility needed not just for Greece, but for the entire region of Southeast Europe. And of course, we're also investing in our grids. Again, when we came into office in 2019, Greece was roughly investing 400 million euros in our electricity grids. Last year, this number reached 1.5 billion euros. This has improved resilience and has also promoted better energy usage through digitization. And we are midway through a generational 6 billion euro project to connect all our islands to the mainland grid. And this makes so much sense to us, economically, environmentally, in terms of reliability. Our largest island, Crete, my home island, has just been interconnected to the grid. This is saving us a lot of money. And as we are developing our grids, we're also strengthening storage with batteries, with pumped hydro, in order to develop the maximum flexibility possible. And of course, we also want to be on the front line of exploring new technologies, especially carbon capture and storage and hydrogen. And of course, given the fact that we are a stable provider of low-cost energy, we are also attracting significant interest in investments in data centers, enabled again by a strong and predictable energy offering. So this is a multi-layered transformation that explores all opportunities. And since coming into office, and especially since 2022, we have supercharged our exploration program for hydrocarbons. And we were incredibly pleased, and I would like to personally congratulate our Minister for Energy and the Environment, Mr. Stavros Papastavrou, for the great work he has put in reaching this agreement. We're very happy that we have signed the agreement between ExxonMobil, Hellenic Energy and Energean. Why is this important? We are on track to have the first exploration well drilled in Greece in 40 years. We are doing the sensible thing. We're exploring our own areas because we know that Europe will need natural gas for many, many years to come. After all, we have made a strategic bet on natural gas. And step by step, we have built a web of assets to strengthen not just Greek, but regional gas security. Just think of what has happened over the past years. It was very nicely portrayed on this beautiful digital map we saw a few minutes ago. We have inaugurated the Transatlantic pipeline, the interconnector between Greece and Bulgaria, which provided Bulgaria with critical gas supply during a very, very difficult time for the country. The FSRU in Alexandroupolis, just a few days ago, we commenced operations on a major compressor station in Komotini to boost our export capacity. So we have become a provider of energy security for the entire southeastern European region. And as a result of all these investments, which we're now in the process of amortizing, we have become a major transit country for natural gas. If you look at the numbers 5-6 years ago, in 2020, we were merely a destination for gas. We were just a sort of a footnote on the energy, in the energy corner of Europe. At the time, we were simply importing 6 BCM of gas. We were exporting almost nothing. Gas was coming in to cover our own primarily electricity generation needs. If you look at 2024, we witness a completely different picture. Inflows exceeded 17 billion cubic meters. Outflows reached nearly 11 billion cubic meters. In other words, most of the gas that now comes into Greece does not stay in Greece. It is sent to third countries. And we will continue to invest in our gas infrastructure to play this important regional role. Hence, the tremendous importance of the vertical gas corridor, and we're very happy that new deals will be announced. It makes just so much sense for the United States to look at Greece as an entry point for American gas to serve the energy needs of an entire region. And I'm very happy that we're making this vision a concrete reality. As you know, we've made a historic decision to phase out Russian gas. And our region, Southeastern Europe, is the last corner of Europe that still imports Russian pipeline gas, but this is not going to continue. So this ban on Russian gas essentially presents a major opportunity to redraw the complete energy map of Southeastern Europe. But let me be clear, and I'm here addressing both secretaries. I think this ban must be enforced, and this is also a message to my European counterparts. We cannot have Russian gas getting into Europe through the back door via Turkey. Otherwise, all these initiatives essentially will be in vain. So we stand absolutely ready to assist in this effort through the vertical corridor with American LNG coming to Greece and then north towards Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, Ukraine, Hungary, and Slovakia. Let me repeat it, Greece is the natural entry point for US LNG to replace Russian gas in the region. So these are the elements of our energy policy. We are focused on developing our own resources, on building our own infrastructure, and of course on helping our neighbors and playing a leadership role in the Balkans and Southeastern Europe. Let me just conclude with some very brief thoughts on Europe's energy strategy, which is a topic that we recently discussed at the European Council and was also discussed at the level of the ministerial gathering a few days ago. My approach when it comes to the energy transition is very, very clear. We need an energy transition that is cost effective. Today, the number one issue facing our citizens is inflation. So we cannot keep asking our citizens to pay an ever-increasing cost for energy. It is important to focus on those resources and those technologies that are cost competitive, moving at the right time to sectors that are harder to decarbonize, for example, such as shipping. And in this regard, we very much welcome the course correction which we witnessed at the European level, pushing back ETS2 by a year, as well as adding the obviously required greater flexibility to meet our 2040 targets. These are all very welcome developments. And as we push forward, we must be ruthlessly technologically neutral. We cannot pick winners. It's up to the markets to lead this innovation push forward. We can make strategic bets on technologies where Europe still has a significant competitive advantage, and we should certainly do that. But within Europe, we must also strive to complete the internal energy market. The price disparities that unfortunately we still see across Europe are unjust, but they're also economically wasteful. But most importantly, they are politically unsustainable. So we need to do better to create a true single European market that will benefit all European citizens. And finally, we must put our energy policy within a broader strategic framework, ensuring not just energy security, but employment, social cohesion, security of supply, industrial vibrancy, and strategic autonomy. Now more than ever, energy is essentially intertwined with geopolitics and geoeconomics. And this is why this meeting has been so important, because it translates what is essentially a strategic vision into a business reality. So let me conclude by saying that this meeting is also important in another respect. It symbolizes the enduring bonds between Greece and the United States. And when I look at what has transpired over these past few days, when I see the high-level delegation, Madam Ambassador, the maximum number of American officials ever present in Greece, this is a very impressive start to your presence here in Greece. So all this is evidence that our relationship is getting so much stronger and deeper every year. So we have so much that we can accomplish together. And I'm sure that when we set ambitious targets, we can all work towards achieving them. Let me welcome you again to Athens and wish you all the best in your deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Mitsotakis. And as we begin the ministerial segment of P-TEC, we now turn to two leaders who have not only helped shape the agenda, but are also serving as co-hosts of this year's ministerial proceedings. I'm talking about Mr. Chris Wright, United States Secretary of Energy, and Mr. Stavros Papastavru, Minister of Environment and Energy of the Hellenic Republic, who are jointly leading this forum and driving forward the goals of transatlantic cooperation in the energy domain. Ladies and gentlemen, following yesterday's opening exchange, they return today to speak at a pivotal moment in the ministerial agenda, a high-level dialogue on one of the defining challenges of our time, and that is ensuring the security of energy supply in an era shaped by geopolitical shifts, technological transformation, and growing global demand. Their keynote remarks will frame the priorities for today's discussions and reaffirm the importance of strategic alignment between nations and partners. I now invite, first of all, Minister Stavros Papastavru to formally introduce Secretary Wright. Feel free to applaud to cover the awkwardness. Thank you.
Dear friends, we're deeply honored to welcome you on the second day of the P-TEC meeting, a historic gathering, a gathering that dealt with energy cooperation, but more importantly, reconfirmed that both sides of the Atlantic, the European Union and the US, share a common vision. We're working together on energy for a reason, because through energy, we have peace, stability, and prosperity. And this is, for me, the most important takeaway from the meeting, that we see eye to eye that we need to totally phase out from the Russian gas, and Greece, as the Prime Minister said, is the natural entry point. With our colleagues from Bulgaria, from Slovakia, from Romania, from Moldova, from Ukraine, we're meeting often. I've said often that I meet Zecho, the Minister for Bulgaria, more often than I meet my counterparts in Greece. We're building a long-enduring alliance that will be a peace and prosperity in our region. I would like to welcome to the floor a pioneer on energy, a successful entrepreneur, a global leader on energy matters, but more importantly, a good friend of Greece. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the 17th U.S. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright.
Thank you. Honored to be here today. I want to start by thanking Prime Minister Mitsotakis, not just for convening this conference, but his fabulous leadership at Greece and bringing our nations closer together again. To my colleague and friend, the Energy Minister Papastavrou, and all of the Greeks that have hosted us in such fantastic fashion, not just the people in the government, but the population. It is wonderful and warm to be here, and for everyone else who traveled from far and wide to talk about energy. So 1 year and 2 days ago, President Trump was elected by a fair margin in the United States, and he was elected on a very simple platform: prosperity at home, peace abroad. Hard to believe that could be controversial. President Trump understood very clearly that the common theme, how do you achieve prosperity at home and peace abroad, central to that agenda is energy. Central to that agenda is energy. If you have low-cost, abundant, affordable energy, you enable tremendous economic opportunities. You raise people's standard of living simply by lowering their bills. President Trump was elected, and this platform resonated with the American people because his predecessor had a very different idea. He didn't think energy was all that important. In fact, he thought it was trumped by other issues, and I'll get back to those later. But in the end, of course, his predecessor was trumped by President Trump, who brought common sense, pro-energy policies back to our country. All of my life, America has aspired to be energy independent, meaning that we're going to produce more energy than we consume. All of my life, that was a mission. Politicians said it. They never did much about it, and we continued to grow as a net importer. 20 years ago, we were by far the world's largest net importer of oil and by far and away the world's largest net importer of natural gas. Just 20 years ago. Here we are today as by far and away the world's largest producer of oil and by far and away the world's largest net exporter of natural gas. President Trump saw that if we can amplify this, not only to the benefit of Americans, prosperity at home, but if we can use our immense energy resources to support our allies and allow them to get off energy dependence from foes or bad actors in the world and build stronger alliances, build infrastructure together, that was the road to a more peaceful world. You've seen the impacts of this in Asia, in the Middle East. But maybe the worst crisis we all face today, by a fair margin, is this savage war in Ukraine. Russia invaded Ukraine and thought, we'll get away with it. We'll get away with it. They won't push back. We're the largest supplier of natural gas to Europe by far. We're the largest supplier of oil to Europe. We're the largest supplier of coal. Europe depends on our energy resources. They won't risk that by responding to our invasion of Ukraine. And God bless the nations of Europe who stood up and said, no, we're not going to take this. No, we're not going to take this. Yes, we have dependencies, but we are starting today, the day of the invasion, to address those dependencies and stand strong and stand against the invasion. This took boldness. This took leadership. I commend it. It's also brought the nations of Europe together and strengthened the relationship with the United States and NATO, that together, militarily, we will stand strong, and together we will marshal energy resources to completely displace Russian energy out of Europe. Russian oil, Russian natural gas, Russian coal, Russian uranium. Everyone sees today you cannot count on Russia as a supplier of anything that's important to you. We know the murderous ravages of the war, and I don't even want to talk about them. I get emotional just thinking about what's happened to this country of Ukraine. But let me give you one other impact of that war that you don't hear much about. Because of that dependence on Russian energy, when the invasion happened, Russian energy flows, they didn't stop into Europe, but they slowed down. The Nord Stream pipelines were shut in. Still a fair amount of energy flowed in, but a reduced amount. What was the impact of that? Of course, it led to a dramatic price rise of energy in Europe. People complained about that. It caused economic pain. But let me talk about the human toll. Every year, far more people die in the winters than die in the summers. It's just a simple fact of human physiology. 5 or 10 times more people die of the cold than die of the heat. Even in Africa, several times more people die of the cold than die of the heat. So with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the price of natural gas, of course, went up. The price of coal went up. The price of wood, the price of all energy sources, they're all linked, went up. The first winter, not the winter the war started, the following winter, the winter of 22-23, there were more than 60,000 additional deaths across Europe simply from freezing to death, just from mortality statistics. It was a warmer than average winter, but the mortality rate in that winter outside of Ukraine, so unrelated to the combat, 60,000 excess deaths. Because when you make energy more expensive, heating more expensive, low-income people don't heat their homes as much in the wintertime. And if you're elderly and in poor health, this leads to death. 60,000 innocent, unrelated to the war Europeans died that next winter because of high energy prices and because of a historical dependence on Russia. So I will affirm today the United States is all in, 100% all in, as your partner to get rid of dependence on Russia and foes for energy resources. Let's build those ties and let's build those partnerships among friends and allies. I also want to talk a few things about numbers. When I talk about energy, I always say we should look at energy through just 2 lenses. Humans, why do we produce energy? It's to make people's lives better, to make them more comfortable, more opportunity rich, longer, healthier. Who doesn't want to travel the world, live to 80 years old instead of dying at 35 or 40 years old, as was true historically? The second thing to consider with energy is math. It's not just aspirational, but what's the math? In different areas, there's different energy sources that work. There's different trade-offs. There's no one answer to energy. But you have to look at energy as how can we maximally benefit human lives? And what math gets us to the right solution? Let me talk about the math of getting energy policy wrong. I have to go negative for a little bit here. In the financial crisis, which devastated all the wealthy nations and frankly the world, and we had a rebound after that. If I start from 2010, at that time, the United States represented 25% of global consumption. Europe represented 25% of global consumption. Population a little bit higher in Europe, income's a little bit higher in the United States, but we were both 25% of global consumption. After the financial crisis, the American shale revolution, technologies had started before then. It was starting to hit critical mass and really took off under President Trump's first term. This exploded American energy production, pushed our prices down. So 14 years later, the United States represented 28% of total global consumption, not of energy, but of goods, of wealth overall. Europe had gone down to 18%. So just a dramatic divergence after the financial crisis. We could argue a lot of reasons for that, but I think the biggest reason by far was just a change in energy policy. The U.S. had an explosion of production. We had prices naturally going down. We started to reindustrialize our country. Europe decided that climate change was a bigger threat and that top-down mandates, policies could retool the energy system in a different way and lead to economic growth. Sadly, what it led to was high energy prices and deindustrialization and a stagnation. Almost 15, 16, 17 years of virtually no economic growth. The United States is here to say, let's work as partners to bring prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic, re-energize growth, rekindle our close ties together. Low-cost, affordable, secure energy, I think, has enormous prospects to lift Europe up and to lift the United States up and to put Russia where it should be. Hopefully a country eventually that will reform and eventually will rejoin the nations, civilized nations of the world. But it's a long way away from that today. It's a long way away from that today. The road forward is to move the jobs that the United States did this to some level as well. When we make energy expensive in our own countries, we don't reduce the need for energy-intensive goods. We just move where they're manufactured. I'll use Germany as one example. Germany spent several hundred billion euros to retool its energy system. It's Energiewende. What was the result of that? Several $100 billion, and Germany more than doubled their price of electricity. The capacity of their grid was more than doubled, but yet the production of electricity declined 20%. If you make energy expensive and less reliable, industry can't exist there, and these awesome industrial powerhouse that Germany was, and I believe will be again, of course, that culture, that engineering, that know-how, that success that drove Germany to where it is, needs to be re-energized. Too much of that industry got pushed overseas to Asia. Did it have the great climate benefits we sacrificed for? I say the math says no, it didn't. Germany, before this this investment, got 79% of its energy from hydrocarbons. Today it gets 75%. That's not a huge transition, and a shrinking total pie of energy consumption. The world collectively, including in the United States, has spent somewhere between $4 and $8 trillion on wind, solar, batteries, and transmission to enable remote wind farms, remote solar farms, and bring them into our grid. $4 to $8 trillion, and last year it represented 2.6% of global energy. 1.2% from solar, 1.4% from wind. It just hasn't worked. I worked in solar energy. I worked in nuclear energy. I worked in geothermal energy. I don't care where energy comes from. I just believe that if you have affordable, reliable, secure energy, your society can thrive, your economy can grow. And as my colleague, Secretary Burgum, spoke of yesterday, maybe the most exciting new industry arriving right now is artificial intelligence. Everywhere that utilizes artificial intelligence is going to see significant growth in productivity, which means significant growth in incomes, significant growth in opportunities for those societies. But what does that industry run on? Energy. It takes energy, the highest form of energy, the most expensive form of energy, electricity, and outputs intelligence. It outputs productivity. It outputs drug discovery. It outputs national security. It outputs things we all want, we all need, and will all thrive with. We need to work together in a trading ecosystem, in investments, to build energy infrastructure so we can massively grow electricity generating capacity right here in Europe, starting right here in Greece. Greece is already off to a strong start. As the Prime Minister mentioned, Greece used to be the end of a tentacle of the Russian energy network. Today, it's the gateway to Europe from United States LNG coming in, and soon, potentially, natural gas and oil production from offshore Greece. I'm super bullish on the prospects of that. You saw what Israel has done by finding natural gas off its coast, producing it, transforming its economy, transforming its energy situation. The U.S. wants to work with all of the nations in the room today Come along with us, partner with us. Let's focus on humans, our population. Let's focus on the math for energy. Let's bring prosperity, geopolitical security, and alliances to all of us. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Minister Papastavrou. We have a few stage changes because we have some surprises to come. You are not ready for that. So I grab the microphone. I pretend to be an American. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the Ministerial Day unfolds, our first plenary session turns the spotlight on one of the most decisive elements in today's energy equation, the role of liquefied natural gas, aka LNG, in enhancing regional competitiveness and market flexibility. So, this session that is about to begin will explore how investments in terminals, storage, transport networks, and supply chains are reshaping market dynamics, supporting industrial growth, and fostering opportunities for regional cooperation and competitiveness. The moderation of this panel is going to be a good friend and a colleague of mine, journalist and anchorman in Star Channel, Mr. George Evianidis. George, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I think we can sit in this order. Maybe the minister here.
Yeah, I sit here, yeah.
Mr. Susner. Oh, okay.
As you wish, right there.
Good to start.
Susner, nice to meet you. Neighbors once again.
Yeah.
So, good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss LNG and its growing role in the energy mix of Greece and the strategic effort, as all speakers yesterday pointed out, to reduce Europe's dependency on Russian gas. I'm George Evianidis. I'm going to be discussing today with ministers, shortly presenting them. Mr. Nikos Tsafos, the Deputy Minister of Energy, is here. Mr. Zygimantas Vaitsiounas, the Minister of Energy of Lithuania. Mr. Wojciech Wrokna, the Government Plenipotentiary for Strategic Energy Infrastructure and Secretary of State for the Ministry of Energy of Poland. Mr. Petr Staraj, the State Secretary for Energy in Hungary. And last but not least, Mr. Anders Šusniar, the Minister of Economy of Croatia. Thank you very much. And given the tight time framework, let me begin by asking Mr. Tsafos, what do you think that the role of LNG will be in the coming years? What is the role of Greece in this new energy equation? And if you're optimistic that we are going to achieve the goal to reduce dependency from Russia?
Well, thank you very much for the question, and thank you everyone for being here. You know, as you have been hearing over the last day and a half, you know, this region of ours is at a turning point. This is the last corner of Europe that imports pipeline gas from Russia. 3, 4, 5 years ago, Russian gas came in through various routes. Over the years, all these routes have been reduced to zero. This is the last remaining corner of Europe that imports Russian gas. So as the EU has made a strategic decision to completely phase out Russian gas, this region is going to change. And we see this as a tremendous opportunity. Why? Because as Russian gas goes away, something must take its place. And we think that something is going to be natural gas from other sources, primarily shipped as liquefied natural gas. And it will come into the entry point of one of our countries. It's going to come either from Greece, it's going to come from Croatia, it's going to come from Poland, depending on where you're going. So we see this as an incredible opportunity. And we think there are three things that you need to do to make this work. One, the physical infrastructure. Greece has been investing in this. We have the FSRU in Alexandroupolis. We have the IGB pipeline with Bulgaria. We just recently invested and launched a compression station in Komotini. We have to keep upgrading this infrastructure so that it can physically do what we need it to do. The second thing is we need to have an attractive commercial product. The price needs to make sense, and we need to offer the shippers, the companies that want to move gas, a product that they can find competitive and attractive. That's an ongoing process between the different transmission system operators, between the different pipeline operators to make this product competitive. And the last ingredient is strict enforcement on the ban on Russian gas. Because if this is a ban that is in name only, we're not going to be able to succeed to make this vision a reality. So when you look at these three components, physical infrastructure, a competitive product, and a strong ban, Greece has done its part in the physical infrastructure. We're working on the competitive product. If we have a really solid enforceable ban, then this vertical corridor is going to be a reality, and we're going to replace Russian gas with LNG. And given the reality of the market, most of this LNG is going to come from the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Tsafos. Mr. Susniar, do you share Mr. Tsafos' optimism?
Absolutely, and I need to highlight that our LNG terminal is operating from 2021, and this was extremely important after the Russian aggression on the Ukraine. So Croatia is becoming also, as we saw this digital map before, when Prime Minister Mitsotakis had a speech. I would add on this map the Croatia and Croatian energy capacities. Croatia is becoming oil and gas energy hub for the Southeast Europe. So we also witnessed that the price of the LNG is stabilized, and after Russian aggression on the Ukraine, a hard increase of the energy price in the EU. LNG became an important new supply source for the EU. So we also found reliable partners carrying the LNG from worldwide to Croatia. At the moment, the most reliable and the bigger partner is the US side. We received 127 vessels. From that vessels, 82 came from the US. So we are also increasing our transport capacities. Our LNG vessel is increased capacity a few weeks ago from 2.9 BCMs to 6.1. This is very above Croatian needs. We did it because of our neighborhood, because of our allies, because of the member states, our neighbors who are landlocked countries, especially Slovenia, Hungary, and we are now increasing our transport capacities towards Slovenia and Hungary, and it will be finished until 2026. But also we are dedicated to build a new pipeline regarding the southern-eastern interconnection with Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Thank you very much. I'm turning to Minister Vaitsiūnas because there is an interesting element in your country, the close proximity to Russia. So I sense that you sense the danger and the necessity in a different manner.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, of course, this cannot be better momentum right now to discuss such things, because in the EU we are counting weeks and days to have the final decision to phase out the gas from Russia, to phase out these imports. But concerning the proximity, also we have to remember the history, because we are in such a wonderful city, Athens, where we are feeling the civilization. So the thing is that not so far away, all the Baltic states, not only Lithuania, the gas transit system was in the hands of the Gazprom. And we made this change, and now we have this LNG terminal from 2014. At that time, it was not like a business as usual. Now LNG is like business as usual. At that time, this was innovative solutions, and bold political decisions was necessary to be made. And at that time, I remember very well, about US gas in Europe, it was a dream. But after the shale gas revolution, it was the reality. So now, through this LNG import terminal in Klaipėda, Independence, by the way, which is called, now we are importing more than 75% of United States gas. That's reality. So that's very important to stand these facts. But concerning the proximity to Russia, of course, it's LNG is one factor. Another factor is that now this terminal is functioning as a regional one, and it has been planned as a national one, but we are supplying gas also to Estonia, Latvia, even some parts of the northern Poland. And this is the fact that now we will have the first LNG cargoes coming to supply Ukraine. That's strategically, practically a very important element. So at that time, this has been bold decisions has been made. Now they are giving the effect. But it is important also to take a stance due to this proximity also to protect the critical energy infrastructure. That's a very important factor. On that, we are working within our region, within the Baltic states, with Poland, and also both for the gas system, for the electricity system. That's very, very important.
Thank you very much. I'm turning for the conclusion of the first round to the two secretaries, starting with Mr. Vrokna. How do you see LNG in this new energy equation in Europe? And do you think that Europe is going to achieve the goal to reduce the energy dependency on Russia? And should it?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this interesting debate. And my answer to your question is definitely yes. And Poland can be a very good example. And let me quote some figures. 10 years ago, so back in 2015, Poland was 75% of imported gas was from Russia. Starting from 2022, it's zero. So for over 7 years, we have completely get rid of the Russian gas. Of course, we did it heavily investing in our infrastructure. Poland has built LNG terminal in Świnoujście. Of course, we also built the Baltic pipe, so the pipeline that's connecting Poland to Norway. It helped us to diversify, of course. We're currently constructing first floating terminal, and the market testing Polish-Tyso has launched a couple of weeks ago, has proven that there is a demand for another capacities. And we are currently contracting 11 BCMs of US LNG. So just, quoting these figures, it shows at least two things. First, the diversification as possible. American LNG can have its place in Europe. But I couldn't agree also more with what my colleagues have said. We need to diversify, we need infrastructure, we need to finance this infrastructure, and we cannot focus only within member states to think about security of supply, about diversification, because then the infrastructure would be too costly. So we need to cooperate, and I believe that the discussion we're having here today are really great because they can help us to achieve better interconnectivity and drive the prices down. And that should be the objective.
I'm going to return in the second round to prices and to social relevance to this energy transition effort. But let me conclude the first round with Mr. Starai, the State Secretary from Hungary. And I find the case of Hungary interesting because you have taken a more moderate stance than other European countries when it comes to the war in Ukraine. So I would like to know your take on this energy transition equation and how do you stand?
Well, you're totally right. I think I'm the only one representing a country here which does not have a direct access to the sea. We are a landlocked country, and because of that, we have to take very cautious measures. Traditionally, Russia has been our major partner in terms of oil and gas. But we have started a policy a long time ago to diversify. And the first step was to build infrastructure to 6 of our 7 neighbors, gas. So by now, actually, we have different options, but of course the price and the supply security is of course very important. We made a couple of deals. It's about 8.5 billion cubic meters what we consume on a yearly basis, and 1 billion comes through Croatia, which is a very important diversification step. And just recently, we have concluded 2 further deals with the French and the US company to have more LNG coming through neighboring countries to Hungary. But believe me, in this situation, Hungary is, of course, very cautious, because for us, diversification doesn't mean that we open a new channel or a new route, a new source, and at the same time we close the old one. Because we think that you have to have different options. And of course, the war in Ukraine now doesn't help decisions without political aspects. But we want to depoliticize this, and we hope that we can diversify in a way that we don't lose the competitiveness of our energy mix.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. State Secretary Wrochna said something I want to take into consideration for the next round. This discussion is interesting, but we cannot exclude civil societies. We cannot exclude people from geopolitics. I want your take, Minister Tsafos, on the vertical corridor. As far as I can understand, you're practically all on the same page that the project is feasible. However, I would like to know, how do you plan to tackle a potential social backlash due to the increased transaction cost, taking into consideration that European countries have pledged to assist Ukraine while this war is prolonged?
Well, thank you for that question. And I think we have to take a quick step back, because I think it's important to remember this. At this point, we're not in the worst phase of the energy crisis, but if you look at gas prices, they're still about 50% higher than they were before COVID and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Yeah. And they're 50% higher primarily because of what Russia did. They're higher because Russia removed a lot of gas from the market. They weaponized gas supplies. They stopped selling gas to Europe. And this is what increased gas prices. And this, in turn, is also what increased electricity prices a lot. So I think we have to begin from a correct diagnosis of why energy is expensive today. And in very large part, gas and electricity are expensive because we haven't recovered from the shock of 2022. We haven't replaced fully the Russian gas that was removed from the market. And this, to us, is the significance of US LNG, because here we're talking about our corner of Europe, but the reality is that there are massive, massive investments taking place in the United States to bring new liquefied natural gas supply to the market. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars invested to supply LNG to the world. So in our view, what is happening is we are at the last stages of the energy crisis of 2022, and we still haven't seen the benefits of the new supply increase that is coming from the United States. So we are quite optimistic that as
when is it going to be evident?
It's starting to be evident. It's basically a yearly progression, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So it's not going to be one inflection point. Okay. It's going to be a gradual increase. As this gas hits the market, prices will come down, and I think that's going to change quite a bit the conversation about competitiveness in Europe, because at that point, we will have reached a new equilibrium. Right now, we're at an equilibrium of less supply, high price. As new gas from the United States and other places comes to the market, this equilibrium will be much improved.
Thank you, Minister Tsafos. Minister Susnir?
Regarding this vertical corridor, Croatia is still not directly involved in suggested route, but we are open to be a part of it, because our transport infrastructure could be part of it, and I agree with my Hungarian colleague that we have now capacity from 1 BCM to Hungary, but next year, in the end, we will increase it to 3.5. Also, this could be a part of this vertical corridor and solution for the Ukraine. Also, the Croatia is on our side. We can secure transport route for the oil to Hungary and Slovakia, and to promote cutting off from Russian gas and oil. So that proves that Croatia is deeply dedicated to giving support to Ukraine, to our neighbors, to our landlocked countries, and we can even more invest in transport infrastructure to be a part of the vertical corridor, to have common politics of cutting off of the Russian fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Minister Vaičiūnas, I again sense that the approach of society in Lithuania or Poland, due to the geographical proximity to Ukraine, is a bit different. So I would like your angle on this.
Absolutely. Well, Lithuania, of course, has been and is the key supporter of the Ukraine concerning the infrastructure for the repair and reconstruction. But the key issue, the civil society also highly supporting that, and we have even some of the special funds dedicated to that. That's really critical, important, because we are really understanding very clearly. Ukraine is now, in case Ukraine's fight for victory is our fight for ourselves, because this is just naturally. And this is the question that this vertical corridor and all the supply possibilities which is dedicated, the target is clear. This is the gas supply to Ukraine, but of course along the way to other countries. So our stance is that of course we have to have as much as possible opportunities to supply gas to Ukraine, but also to have this like a level playing field conditions for other countries, that it would be competitive, and we have to see this as a long-term solution, because we have to shift this from the this is like the south and north corridor instead of this east and west corridor. That's a geopolitical strategic change in principle. So on that, I think this is really clear, and no doubts on this, because this year also 2025 is very important for the Baltic states, because we synchronized our networks with the continental European networks. Ukraine has been the first to integrate there during 3 weeks because of the war, because there was no other chance. So that has been the case, and so full support to Ukraine. We are dedicated all the energy companies to do this as soon as possible.
Thank you. State Secretary Brockner, how do you see this?
It's a very good question, of course, and I think we're tackling one of the most important issues we need to discuss. So when you look at the European legal framework, we have a quite complex and robust legislation that is speaking about access to grid, that is defining the tariffs. So basically, and the markets are liberalized. So within the legal framework we have, you need to find the right balance between the two objectives. The first is competitive price, and the second is stability and security. Building security, building resilience means investing in infrastructure. Investing in infrastructure requires financial resources that needs to be put on the table, invested, and then the investors would look for the repayment. But then the security costs, the costs are increasing, and then the price is increasing. So you have the difficult problem to resolve. And as I said in answering my first question, in order not to impede the EU legislation and in order to find the right balance between the security of supply, the security of infrastructure, and competitiveness, I believe that the stronger cooperation between the EU countries is a solution. I can also tell you that we have a very good example in Poland of cooperation with the European Commission. An important part of our infrastructure was co-financed by the EU money. So we want to also thank you for that. And I believe it's a solution, it's a direction. So we need to not to invent the wheel, we just need to wisely follow what we have created and cooperate more.
Thank you. Mr. Sarai, Mr. Wrochna just described a very interesting equilibrium, this balance between the energy transition and the cost of it. Do you share the optimism of the aforementioned gentleman that cooperation is key for further steps, or are you more conservative on this?
Well, in principle, we are open for every diversification option which is on the table, including the vertical corridor idea. But in the past, we've had lots of different types of projects or ideas which were not realized at the end of the day. And because of that, we are, to some extent, more cautious. What we need is more diversification, but diversification is only good if it's based on reliable sources and routes, if it's affordable, and if it assures long-term stability in our energy mix and in our energy supply. And if these principles are part of a project, then Hungary is interested. So because of that, I think there's a false picture about how we approach our energy security, because what we want is just to have more options. And I think it would be short-sighted to close options now, because there's this war in Ukraine, but it will end at a given point. We hope the sooner the better. And then we will have to think about the time after the war. And I don't think that in that respect it is competitive to close out any option. So that's our approach, but we are interested in other options. Yeah.
That's an interesting angle. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Don't get mistaken by the time clock. Our time is up. Thank you very much for this interesting, illuminated, and multifaceted discussion. And thank you to P-TEC for the opportunity to moderate this panel. Have a great day and a good conference while it lasts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone forgot a pen?
Thank you, George. Special thanks to all our panelists. Now, we have some changes to the agenda because we have some surprises, yes, today as well. So, before moving forward to our next panel, we are about to have a signing, yes. Before that, we will take a very short break. Don't be away for a while. We will be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you. back, everyone, again. Please have your seat. The program is about to begin. I'll now call on stage from the hosting country, Deputy Foreign Minister Haris Theoharis, the United States Ambassador to Greece, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and the Undersecretary of State, Mr. Jacob Hellberg. Please. They're going to be back in a few minutes. They are going to sign a very important MOU agreement. You'll find out for what it's going to be about. Give me 2 seconds, and they will be back. Please. Undersecretary of State Jacob Hellberg. Thank you, too. Mr. Theoharis. And of course, the Ambassador of the United States to Greece, Mrs. Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Thank you. Good morning. I am honored to join the Deputy Foreign Minister, Theoharis, and Undersecretary for the United States of America, State Department of Energy, Jacob Hellberg, for today's signing of this landmark declaration between our two countries on economic security. This is a consequential and pivotal moment. Through this declaration, the United States of America and Greece will pursue flagship projects that will define the AI economy for decades. It is no coincidence that we chose to launch this important initiative to affirm our shared commitment to trusted technology and building economies based on innovation right here in Greece. It was in Athens that the intellectual seeds that made today's AI revolution possible were first planted. The United States and Greece are proudly committed to ensuring that our supply chains and ultimately the economies that sustain our communities are safe and secure, both now and in the future. With today's agreement, we advance our President, Donald J. Trump's call for a new era of economic diplomacy that produces peace and security for America and its allies through the power of private investment, free enterprise, and economics. As the President said when he rolled out America's AI Action Plan this summer, continued American leadership in artificial intelligence is of paramount importance to maintaining the economic and national security of the United States of America. And I'll add to that of our close allies, steadfast allies like Greece. It is now my privilege to introduce my dear friend and one of the State Department's newest visionaries shaping U.S. economic policy at home and abroad, the Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs, Jacob Hellberg. Undersecretary Hellberg, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador Guilfoyle. Good afternoon, ministers and distinguished guests. Thank you to our Greek counterparts, led by Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Haris Theoharis, and to Ambassador Guilfoyle and her team for generously hosting us here in Athens. It's a privilege to be joining you in the birthplace of our civilization as we sign this landmark declaration on U.S.-Greece joint economic security. There is no more fitting location to celebrate this signing than against this historic backdrop of Athens, where millennia ago, wise men laid the intellectual seeds that grew into the technological revolutions of the 21st century. We stand today as the proud inheritors of Western civilization and as defenders of the systems and the heritage that have made the United States and Greece strong nations and close allies. The world's supply chains are buckling under the weight of technological and geopolitical change. The AI revolution is causing a step change in demand for energy, critical minerals, manufacturing, technological hardware, infrastructure, with the promise of new markets and opportunities that have yet to come. New investments in electricity generation and distribution, as well as telecommunication infrastructure, are needed to seize this moment. And the private sector is already leading the way, setting bold goals through mega projects like the energy and compute projects undertaken by PPC here in Greece. Recent coercive actions against the world's supply chains highlight the imperative to build a tech stack made to last and scale with reliable suppliers and partners. Our companies and our economies can't ever be caught off guard, cut off from critical minerals needed for basic or essential products. Today, the United States and the great country of Greece hail a new geopolitical consensus in our bilateral relationship. Economic security is national security, and national security is economic security. At the same time, we owe it to our people to harness the power and potential of the AI revolution to accelerate the human flourishing of the West and ensure the systems we build will reflect our shared civilizational heritage rather than foreign influences harmful to our security and prosperity. The need for secure supply chains represents an opportunity to deepen our partnerships with countries like Greece at every layer of the tech stack and in all areas of the supply chain. Greece, which has always stood at the crossroads of East and West, once again serves as a key node for maritime and energy connectivity upon which secure supply chain systems depend. The United States is the undisputed partner of choice in this endeavor. America is the birthplace of the AI revolution, and under President Trump's leadership, the United States is set to win the global AI race. Today, America is home to 59 of the world's 100 largest companies, and our partners know that the American private sector is surging forward and offers the surest path to economic prosperity. We stand ready to work with Greece and all others who share our commitment to trusted technology and a level playing field for our companies. I want to recognize Ambassador Guilfoyle for her leadership in laying the groundwork for this declaration, and even before her arrival in Athens. Since her confirmation as ambassador, she played a key role in working with her Greek counterparts to defeat the IMO's job-killing net zero climate tax and helped negotiate sizable purchase agreements for American liquefied natural gas. I am certain that she will continue to be an exemplary representative of President Trump here in Greece, elevating the U.S.-Greek relationship to unprecedented greater heights. Together, America and Greece will build the rails of a secure, advanced technology supply chain, bringing prosperity and progress for all, and forever defending the promise of the West. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Guilfoyle, Undersecretary Helder, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today marks a defining moment in the enduring partnership between Greece and the United States. The signing of the U.S. Hellenic Republic Economic Security Declaration reaffirms our shared vision for a future built on prosperity, innovation, and mutual trust. This declaration reflects our determination to strengthen the foundations of economic security and technological progress for our peoples. It underscores our commitment to developing resilient and trusted supply chains, fostering open and fair markets, and advancing responsible innovation, particularly in the transformative field of artificial intelligence. Greece stands as a reliable ally and a strategic partner of the United States. At the crossroads of three continents, and together we are shaping a future in which economic cooperation supports not only growth, but also stability, energy diversification, and long-term regional security. Our cooperation in areas such as energy, critical minerals, advanced manufacturing, digital infrastructure, and AI technologies will play a vital role in ensuring that our economies remain strong, independent, resilient, and open to fair competition. We believe that technological progress must serve the common good, enhancing opportunity, protecting privacy, and empowering every citizen to thrive in a rapidly changing world. This declaration also reaffirms our belief in the power of private enterprise, innovation, and entrepreneurship to drive prosperity and create new pathways for investment. Greece will continue to promote an economic environment that is transparent, predictable, and welcoming to all trusted partners. By deepening our economic cooperation, Greece and the United States send a clear message to all. The democratic nations, when united by shared values and a shared vision, can lead the world towards a more secure, fair, and prosperous future. Today's agreement is not only a testament of intent, it is a call to action. It invites collaboration across governments, businesses, and societies to ensure that technology, trade, and innovation become lasting forces for peace, stability, and growth. Together, Greece and the United States will continue to build a future of economic security, energy independence, and technological excellence, guided by our common values and our unwavering commitment to freedom and prosperity. I would like to acknowledge the help of Undersecretary and Ambassador Guilfoyle and their teams, of course, in working together with my team to ensure that we sign together today this very important declaration. Thank you very much.
Please exchange photos.
I keep the Greek and we get the
Russia's ruthless destruction of Ukraine's energy systems has intensified ahead of the heating season, with this winter promising to be the most challenging yet. However, we have seen what strong transatlantic coordination can accomplish, and how can the generosity of many companies here in the room and public funds has enabled the country to recover, rebuild and secure critical energy infrastructure. I'm deeply honored to invite to stage Josh Volt, Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Energy, who will facilitate the conversation between Secretary Wright, Svetlana Krinkret, it's the Minister of Energy of Ukraine, I hope I pronounce it well. Ditchil Gorgersen is the Director General of Energy at the European Commission. Please.
Good.
Good morning. Good morning. It is my privilege to be on stage with three of the greatest energy minds working on one of the most complicated energy problems, and that is the resiliency and recovery of Ukraine's energy system. We all know all too well what's happening in Ukraine with the brutal attacks from Russia, specifically targeting civilian infrastructure designed to do what Vladimir Putin has been unable to do on the battlefield, and that is bring victory through using civilian means and targeting civilian infrastructure. Minister Grenchuk, thank you for being with us here this morning. I know that you've come very, very far, and it's not an easy journey. You were recently in Odessa before joining us here this morning. So I'm wondering if you could give us a little bit of an overview of what's happening in Ukraine right now, and what some of the most pressing challenges are for you and your countrymen right now.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Josh, Secretary Wright, dear Chris, Director General, dear Dita, dear colleagues. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you. Unfortunately, again about Ukraine, unfortunately, again about war. I know that it's not easy to hear every time about the war, about the negative and very difficult situation in Ukraine, but we have almost 4 years of war. 4 years under attacks, under missiles, under drones, and it will be the fourth war winter, very difficult winter for all Ukrainians. And I want to speak today not about just the political situation, not about the international situation, but I want to speak about the people, because what is going on in Ukraine, Ambassador knows very well, and colleagues who are visiting Ukraine also. It's about the people. We will have in 2 months very cold weather, and we all understand that if Russia will continue to attack precisely the energy infrastructure, the civilian infrastructure, they could create like humanitarian crisis. And just during this year, I think the most difficult for the energy system, for Ukrainian energy system, because this year Russia continued to attack the electricity infrastructure, but also started to attack the gas infrastructure. And unfortunately, in February, March this year, we lost more than 40% of our domestic gas production. We we return. Thank you very much to all our energy and gas workers for this work. But in September, Russia restarted the massive attacks against the gas infrastructure, and unfortunately, we lost a lot. Yes, we try to repair, but we all understand that Russia will continue. And for us, the additional gas import, the additional natural gas resources, it could be critical. It could be like vital for the heating season. And I want to thank you to all our partners for support which we already received. I mean financial support, the molecule support, support with gas molecule. Of course, we need additional import amount of the preliminarily 4.4 BCM cubic meter during the heating season. It means that we need the additional import 30 million cubic meters per day. And we discussed today with the colleagues all the possibilities how we could increase the physical capacities for have this import in Ukraine through Poland and through a vertical corridor, through Trans-Balkan corridor. And I'm very happy that today after this panel we will sign the very important MOU for Ukraine, I hope for US and for Poland, for the European Commission. It's the first US LNG through Poland to Ukraine, and we will have all the possibilities to increase also. And it's not just emergency needs, not just about the emergency needs, it's about the start of our long-term cooperation also in this area. Regarding the electricity part, Russia attacked directly the generation capacity, the transmission capacity, the distributed capacity, and yes, previous 3 winters we tried to repair it. We have the outages. Of course, for people it's very difficult to live without the electricity, especially when we have weather -10 outside, and when we don't have electricity, we don't have water, we don't have heat, and it's very difficult even to believe when we are here in Greece with a very sunny weather, but we all know that in Ukraine we have a little bit different situation, and for us weather is the very important point. Of course, we received a lot of support from all our partners. I mean, the in-kind support, as a special equipment, electricity equipment, gas equipment. I already mentioned about the natural gas, but we need to ask, and I need to ask you about the additional support, because it's very important for all Ukrainians. It's very important for each Ukrainian, and I think it's very important for all our partners who supported us during this period of war, during this very difficult period, and who continue to support us, and for whom the surviving of Ukraine, surviving of Ukrainian people is also very important point, very important matter. I don't want to share a lot of details, because I know that Russia also tried to search every time the situation in Ukraine. I already shared with my colleagues the detailed situation, and we will continue the sharing this information. I just want to ask also not just about the support with the equipment, support with the finance, with the gas. I want to propose also to continue construct, to continue create, to continue build cooperation with Ukraine, because despite the war, we have really a lot of opportunities, and we could implement in Ukraine the very efficient, very important projects in the energy sector for Ukraine, for Europe, for US, to bring the US dominance with gas, with technologies. We discussed a lot with Chris about the nuclear, about the uranium, and we have all these opportunities to develop Ukraine, to develop Europe, to develop the US dominance with technologies, especially in the world. And the one maybe last point from my side, we need also to pressure Russia with sanctions. We need to pressure them with all international attention, because it's not possible to destroy it. It's not possible to destroy not the country, to destroy the civilian infrastructure, to bring people during the winter in the cold. It's like it's not possible even to imagine in the current time. And of course, I hope that together with all the international support, we will have some results of this. Ukraine, of course, will continue fight We don't have another chance in other ways, but we want to also to provide to our people heat, electricity, especially during the heating season. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Grinchuk. I'm struck by both the complexity and the urgency of the problem, but also the underscoring of hope and a future-facing element of what Ukraine's energy systems can and will be. Director General Jorgensen, the Commission has been an essential partner in helping to keep the lights on in Ukraine and fighting the terrible attacks that have been taking place over the last 3 years. Can you talk a little bit about what the Commission's forward-facing plans are for continuing to support Ukraine in the face of these attacks?
Yes, thank you very much, Josh, and thank you very much, Svetlana, for being here in what are clearly very, very challenging circumstances. We appreciate the effort. Secretary, thank you for what you're doing here yesterday and today in Athens, bringing us together and bringing focus on the Ukrainian winter ahead. The Russian attacks, as we have heard, are brutal and relentless. They're targeting the energy system, they're targeting civilians. We've seen the impact. The needs of Ukraine, as you have said, Minister, are critical and urgent, and so we do have to come together to respond to those needs and address them. As you've said, Josh, so far we have been a key provider of energy assistance to Ukraine, more than 2 billion euros so far, making us the single largest contributor to your energy systems, and we remain committed. We have established the Ukraine Energy Support Fund specifically that attracts investments both from European countries, but really from global donors. So far, more than 1.5 billion in donations are in that fund. So our support going into this fourth winter of war, as you have said, Minister, is allocated through that fund. It assists priorities such as the urgent and absolutely necessary repairs, infrastructure, passive protection, and support for the most vulnerable regions in Ukraine that are being devastated by the attacks. We know that our gas and electricity market in the European Union are well-functioning and integrated markets. We have infrastructure, and that means we have the capacity to help. We are directly linked up with you through the synchronization of the electricity system, and so we can provide electricity and molecules through European energy systems. The vertical corridor has been mentioned as one important route. The northern corridor is another route. The Trans-Balkan route, a third one. So there really are good gas supply routes across the European Union, and European member states and transmission system operators have been engaging to make best use of that. We know that the power supply is an equally critical situation and challenge in Ukraine. We have almost tripled the capacity to export electricity from the European Union to Ukraine since pre-war. We now have more than 2 gigawatt capacity annually. Countries in Europe that are on the front line, that are directly connected to Ukraine, have significantly invested and stepped up efforts so as to be able to export that electricity. We've seen this year, and you mentioned it very clearly, that the Russian attacks have been so dramatically focused on your gas sector and on your energy system. We saw that in the wave of attacks early in the year, February, March. We've seen it in an even more significant and more brutal effort just a few weeks ago, 7 massive campaigns. And so the impacts are very, very real. We are responding to that. We are working with you and with the United States to respond to that. We have provided lending guarantees to cover the gas deficit that has been caused by these attacks. The loans of 800 million euro from EBRD and the European Investment Bank are backed by the European Commission, and they are being used specifically to purchase gas so as to fill storage as you go into the winter. The tenders are ongoing, but we are confident and hopeful that there will be US LNG supplies in responding to those tenders so as to help Ukraine as you go into the winter. The swift repair, of course, of your infrastructure is critical. That requires equipment both in the gas sector and in the electricity sector. I've talked to several European member states here over the last 2 days, and everyone is looking to find what is there that can be shipped to Ukraine as quickly as possible, in addition to financial support. So we will continue our efforts. We remain engaged, including through the civil protection mechanism. We look forward to continuing our support and your continued integration into the European Union and our continued cooperation with the US as our single most important supplier of LNG to the European Union and neighboring countries. Thank you.
Secretary Wright, President Trump has made clear his support for Ukraine and his call to action for this war to end. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what the Department of Energy is doing to help support Ukraine and its critical need for electricity equipment, for gas infrastructure, and for the critical molecules that will bring heating and life to the Ukrainians through this very important winter period.
Thank you, Josh. And I'm very proud to be sitting on the stage here with Minister Grichenko from Ukraine and with Dita Jorgensen from the EU. They've been friends and partners in a tough time, But we are completely aligned in what we need to do. This is energy is life. The lack of affordable energy is despair and death. And we need to fight everything we can to bring energy to Ukraine. The European Commission and the European Union have been outstanding in this regard, working tirelessly on how we can achieve this together in the most effective, humanitarian, and rapid way possible. We had a great meeting in Washington, D.C. with the leaders of Ukraine across the government up to the president and American businesses. How can we get transformers? How can we get switchgear? How can we get gas? What are the challenges? What are the problems? How do we move forward? I can say American businesses view this as a humanitarian thing, as a mission. They want to be there. They want to deliver answers and solutions. At the Department of Energy, we've involved our national labs to work together with the Ukrainians about how best to protect critical energy infrastructure from drone attacks, from missile attacks. Ukraine is a country of incredible engineers who just get stuff done. There's an attack, they are on location fixing, barricading stuff, and the fixers are attacked. But they have been brave, they have been bold, and they have been relentless. And President Trump, as you've all heard so many times, his single biggest goal is to better people's lives and to save people's lives. Peace has been a massive agenda for him. He has pushed all of us in the administration all in to see what we can do to get energy, to get infrastructure, to get repair parts to Ukraine. And then on the other side, what are the most effective measures we can do to starve the Russian war machine? That has been a growing range of sanctions, and recently some very bold sanctions targeting the two biggest exporters of Russian oil. This could crimp half of Russia's total oil exports, their main source of funding for this war. That would risk disruption to global oil markets and drive prices up, if not for firm American production, record high American oil production right now, and great partnerships and alliances across the Middle East and elsewhere among oil producers, that we need to all bring oil to market so we can keep prices down for the global community, but starve the Russian war machine. I'm very proud of the efforts of our administration and our partnership with the two tremendous gals sitting on stage with me today. And I can tell you, no one on this stage will stop. No one will rest. No one will become complacent until this war is over and we're on to the next chapter of Ukraine, which is a chapter of prosperity, a chapter of higher energy, a chapter of energy development, a chapter of tighter integration with the EU. I think we have a great future ahead, but to get to that great future, we have to hang together. As Benjamin Franklin said during the American Revolution, we must all hang together, or surely we will all hang separately. We need to win.
Thank you so much, Secretary Wright. So there's been a lot of talk about how we can support Ukraine in this very critical period. And I would like to invite Robert Shasinski from Orlen, Sergei Krajitsky from Naftogaz to come up and sign a deal that will bring those molecules from the United States into Ukraine to help form the backbone of support during this critical winter period. I'd also like to invite Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, and Deputy Minister Frakna to join us on stage for the signing.
Pleasure to see you.
It's good. No, thank you.
This is businesses, governments, and hearts coming together. I thank you gentlemen so much for this commercial transaction and for where this will lead us going forward, and all the partners on the stage. Slava Ukraini.
Applause, and then the participants will come. Mrs. Galli. time for a huge announcement. Now is the time for vertical corridor commitments and the private sector companies signing the deals for the US LNG. This is the very first ever long-term contract for LNG in Greece. I'm not going to say much. The ambassador of the United States in Greece, Mrs. Kimberly Guilfoyle, will do the actual introduction.
Hello, what a historic day, isn't it? Wonderful for all our countries and the vertical corridor. Truly a historic moment. Today, we are signing agreements that were months in the making. They will affect the trajectory of the region for years to come. There has long been political and commercial support for the vertical corridor, and we see that continuing to grow. Today, we see the conclusion of business deals that demonstrate the economic viability of this strategic energy corridor. I am so happy to be here with my friends, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, and Minister Papastavrou. I would like to extend a special thanks to all the companies here today that made this happen as well. Alex Exarchou from Actor, Shaylin Hines from Venture Global, and Konstantinos Sifaras, CEO of DEPA. I will now turn it over to Alex Exarchou to say a few words. Thank you.
We're very honored and privileged to be here today, together with EPA, to sign a historic agreement with global trade for acquisition of significant quantities of LNG from US. And further, we are here also to sign MOUs with two countries, Ukraine and Romania, for further sell away of whatever we will get from global ventures to Ukraine and Romania. It's, in our opinion, and my personal opinion, a great historic day for Greece, for which we have to thank, from my bottom of my heart, the ambassador of the US. Without her, it was not going to be possible. She's fighting for this for 3 months like hell. Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Of course, the representatives of the American government. Mr. Burgum, if it wasn't for you and our meeting, I wouldn't have been here today. Thank you very much indeed, Chair. The Prime Minister of Greece, he made significant decisions to have this historic day along with Mr. Papastavrou. Mr. Minister, thank you very much indeed. I honestly believe that we have an historic event today, the commercial elements of which are secondary to what is going on from an ethnic point of view. In as far as Greece is concerned, again, we are delighted and very proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here today, not only as a personal the CEO of DEPA, because in DEPA, this is our job, to secure Greece's energy, but also to secure our independence and, in the end, to have affordable energy for our consumers. I think the most important, because now we need to understand, as Alexander said, the historic moment, that we are signing a long-term contract with our partners from Venture Global, and this is the first long-term contract in Southeast Europe. And so it's not only important for Greece, but for many, many other countries and our colleagues. I need to thank Secretary Bergam, Secretary Wright, my boss, Secretary Stavros Papastavrou, and of course our Prime Minister, because without their leadership, this would not be so easy to sign. And I think you have all the credits, and of course, Madam Ambassador, you made it. And thank you very much about that. Thank you, my colleagues from DEPA, my colleagues from Actor Group, our colleagues from Venture Global, and of course, our colleagues from the US Embassy, because the last 15 days, 30 days, we made what it seems would be impossible. And when I think the political leaders gives the vision, then it's our duty to make it in action. And I think this is what we're doing today. And I'm pretty sure the next weeks will be very, very important, together with our colleagues from Ukraine, from Romania, but not only from that countries. There are many other things that are coming. We will give a very, very strong signal about the energy security and connectivity. And allow me something in Greek words, because as we are in Zapio, for us here is, as you remember, we signed the entrance in EU before many, many years. And Mr. Wright, yesterday you said about the funeral for Pericles. Mr. Papastavrou, you said about Athenian and the city-states, and I think this is the essence, democracy and partnership. Thank you very much.
Testing, okay. Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright, Ambassador Guilfoyle, Minister Papastavrou, and our new partners at Atlantic Sea LNG. On behalf of our CEO, Mike Sable, and the entire Venture Global team, we are thrilled to be celebrating this new supply agreement with you today, significantly expanding our energy partnership with Greece, a key ally of the United States. This deal marks Greece's first ever long-term LNG supply agreement with a U.S. exporter, launching a dynamic partnership between Atlantic Sea LNG and Venture Global. Venture Global is very proud to be a key supplier to this region, and to date has delivered 155 cargoes to P-TEC countries. In addition, this deal builds on our previous investment in the vertical corridor through the Alexandroupolis LNG receiving terminal. As a major point of entry for US LNG into Central and Eastern Europe, the strategically important infrastructure and SPA agreement are key to strengthening the region's ability to diversify their energy mix and access a secure and reliable source of supply. We are excited to grow our partnership with key regional players, such as the newly formed Atlantic Sea LNG, and we are very grateful for the strong leadership of President Trump, Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright, Ambassador Guilfoyle, and other officials on both sides of the Atlantic who are encouraging further trade of US LNG. Thank you for your trust. We believe this is just the beginning of a very strong and growing partnership. The future is very bright for transatlantic energy cooperation.
All three of you, hold it all three. Hold it, hold it.
I'm going to kindly ask the Ukrainian and the Romanian representatives to join us on stage. Thank you. And now I call the Ukrainian and the Romanian representatives to join us on stage. I know.
Now it's time to sign the MOU with Ukraine. Excuse me? Okay.
So, you ready? So, thank you. Right now, together with our colleagues from Naftogaz, we know each other a long time ago. We cooperate already. This MOU, it's a cornerstone for the next steps as we're entering in negotiation about the volumes and the way we will work together with Venture Global, the Atlantic, and Naftogaz. So thank you very much for this signature, and let's look for you to have a new deal.
Yep.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much. We are very honored to be the part of this historical moment. The replacement of Russian gas and the Ukraine long-term energy stability is the key achievement of this moment. So thank you very much for this cooperation and look forward for our very fruitful and very constructive future. Thank you.
Exactly. All right, good.
Thank you very much. And now it's time to call the Romanian representatives to join us on stage. Άμα θέλετε να... Send me a message and I'll...
Okay, I just need to say once we're very
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this brings an end to the public P-TEC agenda. We will have the press conference shortly. Please join us for a little snack in the room next door. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for participating, both yesterday and today. Thank you all. Have a good one.